Hi everyone. So my name is Sébastien Alix. I am a Node developer since 2010, something like that. I am working at Camp2Camp, and today I will present you OCA Port. So a tool I started to develop 2 years ago. So the goal of this tool will be to migrate and maintain easily your OCA add-ons. So it all begins with the migration of a customer project. It was a migration from 13 to 14. And these customers had 350 OCA add-ons, OCA modules, over 700. And one of the key points here is that we still have we continue to work, we at C2C, Camp2Camp, and the community to work on the 13 versions of the add-ons, of these add-ons, while we started the migration to V14. So the challenge here was to synchronize all the features added in 13 to 14, as well as the fixes. And sometimes, the contrary, we have to backport fixes we did on 14 during the migration to 13 to be clean. So that's how OCA Port is born. So it is hosted now in its own OCA repository. And a Python package is available on PyPy. So you just have to install it with pip and export your GitHub token as a environment variable. So you can generate the GitHub token in your GitHub profile, in the security or developer menu, something like that. So before, without this tool, the usual way to migrate an add-on was to create a migration branch, to play with git format patch, pipe on git am, and run pre-commit, add everything, and generate your commit. And after that, you can start to migrate the code, etc., and make your test pass. And now with OCA Port, it follows the same process automatically. It is done for you for these first steps. And it will display some tooltips for the remaining steps. So what you need to do, upgrade your version number in the manifest file, take care of the migration guide of OCA if you need to adapt some XML files, etc., etc. And you can see here how it is done on the right. So you just clone your OCA repository, and you execute the OCA port command. So the first parameter is the source branch, so from where you start. And the second one is your target. So you are not forced to have 15 or 16. You can jump versions if you want. You put the add-on you want to migrate. And the fork option, if you don't pass it, it will just output a report of what it can do with this port, if the add-on exists or not. Here, we have in the migration process, so the add-on has not been migrated on 16. And when you pass the fork option, it will allow you to do the process and open a pull request at the end, or to to perform the migration at least locally, and after that to open a pull request. The second feature of OCA Port, it was the main one initially, was to keep track of port pull requests. So before that, we were keeping track of pull requests on a given module, so you have to keep an eye on every OCA module you are interested in, and think about if you have to port it. So you will play with git cherry pick and git format patch to port manually the commit you want to port. And often you open two git log in parallel, and you compare them to know what you want to port. And you do this for every single module. So you can imagine with 350 modules to scan, doing this manually, it will be a nightmare. So with OCA Port, now we can have a report of what you need or what is missing for your add-on on the target branch. It could be false positive, like lint commit, lint check. You don't want to port that because maybe on the target branch pre-commit has done the job well, so you don't want to port that. So here an example of output. When an add-on is already ported of 15 and you want to reduce the gap between 14 and 15, so it presents you that one pull request is missing, and you could have the need to port it if you want. So how does it work? So internally, it uses Git Python, and Git Python has its own commit object to represent a commit of the Git repository. And OCA Port introduces a new commit class, and it will convert all the commits from Git Python to its own class, and it will perform check equality on the two branches, so 14 and 15, for instance. And for that, it will compare some attributes only of the commit. So it will be the author name, author email, the date time, and the message. And sometimes, depending on the needs in the tool, we want to compare the paths of the files impacted by one commit, and sometimes not. So there is a context manager to do that, to allow you to, I don't want to compare my 14 commit with the 15 one with paths or not. So let's do a demonstration. I will start, for instance, with like this. Would be enough, I guess. So I first check that I have my fork to process with the port. So I have the contingent one. And I want to check, for instance, in the server backend repository of OCA. I don't need to fetch the branches. The tool will do that for me. Oh, let's try just like this. So we saw that the module is already existing on 15. is checking the pull request to port, or it starts with the commits, and it will request GitHub API to see if this commit was part of a pull request. So here we can see that this pull request has been merged by Daniel on the 14 branch, but it hasn't been ported to 15. With the verbose parameter, we can see an exhaustive list of the commits, and not only just one commit here, so we will get the detail. And with the fork option, I can process. So now it is asking me if I want to port this pull request, 152. Let's say yes. So I already tried before, so it tells me that the local branch already exists on my local copy. That's all right. So there was no conflict this time. If there is a conflict, it will just stop there, and you can open another shell and resolve the conflict. Type git am continue, and resume the work by answering yes after. Otherwise, if everything is fine, you will just get this report. It proposed me to push the branch on my fork. And now to create a draft pull request on the upstream repository, which is OCA. And here we go. I get my pull request with a title saying that, okay, this is for 15, and I am forward porting from 14 for this add-on. So later I could automatically add the right milestone and labels, but no, there is no one. I tried before, it was a bit complex, so for a demonstration it was not too much conflict. And here it is another example I made, it was last year. If you have several pull requests to port, you can either port them one by one and make one pull request one by one, or if there's very small ones, you can consolidate all the port in one branch and open one pull request with all the port at the end. So the title will change to say, okay, it relates to multiple ports, and it will list which pull request you ported from the previous version. And it was... And I have maybe a more complete example of what the tool is able to do. So this is about porting the stock warehouse flow module that Jacques Etienne introduced yesterday. I want to port it to 15 as well. So I prefer to run. It won't work like expected, functionally speaking, I mean. But for the demonstration, it's okay here. So I want to migrate it because it doesn't exist on the 15 branch. So here, just apply what we can find in the OCA migration guide. so executing git format patch, etc., executing pre-commit. And once it is done, it will automatically trigger the second features of OCA Port to check if there is some pull request or things to port really, that relates to this add-on. So, for instance, where it is, yeah, this pull request, the original one on 14. So this pull request was creating a new add-on stock warehouse flow, but it also added a glue add-on, auto-install one, stock warehouse flow release that makes the compatibility between stock warehouse flow and stock available to promise release. And for that, we needed to add a hook on this add-on. Without that, the stock warehouse flow release can't work. It needs the hook on this one to be able to work as expected. So here it says, okay, I detected this pull request. We can see here it saw 2 commits to port from this pull request, because even if we have 3 commits in my pull request here, the first one relates to the stock warehouse flow module, and the 2 other ones are not really related to. Yeah. So he proposed me if I want to also port this one and another one which is an unrelated fix, but we don't care. And what happened here is that when applying this commit, he wanted to patch as well stock available to promise release to add the hook. He saw that this change relates to an unported add-ons because it hasn't been ported yet on 15. It does the same for this patch. And at the end, it's okay, there is nothing to port from this commit. So it's okay for him, but from a functional point of view, it won't be okay to port this one and this one if the other modules that are dependencies are not there. But at least by seeing that, the user knows that there is something missing, and I should check if this add-on, I should port it or not. Or the tool cannot decide for the developer what to do for that. And after that, I can simply follow what the tool, it's just almost a copy-paste of what is described in the official migration guide of OCA, at least for this one. So let's do this. Stock warehouse flow. Maybe it's not enough to migrate the add-on, but No, you can see it. Yeah. With a bit of chance, we could have a working add-on. We don't know. Okay. Okay. That won't help with the slideshow. So the roadmap, well, the first point about blacklisting pull requests on module we don't want to port for some reason. So for a module migration, if it has been included in standard or it's not relevant anymore, we can say, okay, I don't want to port it. I want to remember that, and it will store this information in a hidden file in the repository on the target branch. It's not yet work in progress. It has been merged this afternoon before the talk. So if you install the last version, it will be part of the release. The same for porting pull requests. You can blacklist pull requests you don't want to port. So everything that is related to lint or etc. Because each time you run the command, you will be annoyed by pull requests you don't want to port. And the fact that it is shared on the OCA repository, all contributors won't be annoyed anymore when running the command. I would like also to detect existing pull requests, so to invite the user that a pull request for this add-on or this port of pull request already exists, so better to review it instead of creating another one. And also, I would like to improve OCA Port to use it as a Python package with an API and to get a JSON output. The idea, or not the idea, because we did it a bit, but a dirty way 2 years ago, was to generate a report to plan and estimate the OCA work to do for a customer project migration. So this way you have a big table of, okay, for this repository, I have this add-on, this add-on, this add-on. I want to, you could have some changes to port. And as well, I would like to leverage the Odoo Module Migrator tool, which is another tool to migrate code, but which is more focused on to migrate the code itself. So if some XML tags or etc. Are duplicated in an Odoo version, this tool will take care of. I never tested it yet myself, but maybe to migrate it itself or to put some warning. Yeah, well, the version number. Yeah. So that could be a great addition as well. So that's all from me. If there is. Is there any question? Yes? Yeah, you can do that because all it does is targeting the remotes on the branch you pass in parameter. So for instance, here, if you want to to migrate from another repository. Let's say you add your remote from another repository, so it could be, we are in WMS, I want to add the warehouse repository, so, well, blah, 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 slash stock logistic warehouse. It won't work, but you get the point. And if I want to port something from the stock logistic warehouse repository to WMS, I just add a prefix in the source branch. And yeah, my add-on. So it will fetch the commits from the warehouse repository and include it in the current repository. That's all. Was it your the question? Okay. Yes?
The add-on was renamed at some point.
I am sure we could, but I was passing too much time to handle that, so yeah, it's not handled very well right now. So yeah, when files or add-ons are renamed, it's a bit difficult for the tool right now to detect that.
That's more a Git problem than a tool problem, right?
Yeah, because analyzing the Git commit objects of Git Python was not so much helpful sometimes to detect that a file has been renamed. When you have a file renamed and changes at the same time, the same commits, well, it's possible, but you have to do a bit of work for that. Why not? But it's not about module name, it's also about files. If you have an XML file which has been renamed inside a module not renamed, you have the same issue. But for this tricky part, you can just use the add-on with the verbose mode. You get a list of commits and do the work yourself as you are used to. But at least you have the list of commits missing. So from there, up to you to rework them.
Which structure do you choose for the OCA code?
I think I have demonstration here. Was it here or here? I don't see it anymore. If I, yeah. Maybe in the other file. Let's try again for this one. So as we didn't detect yet that an existing pull request exists, I just created before. He asked me again if I want to port it. This time I answer no. And
Don't blacklist my commit.
Sorry. And he asked me if I want to remember this choice. And now, oh, there is an issue with the version installed, I guess. Yeah, there is something fishy here. And maybe my last release, it doesn't work very well. Don't trust the number, it's not the 0.10 version, in fact, it's the second version of the tool. So. No.
You found it out. That's the one 5,000 out.
Okay. Maybe I answer no to the question. No? To blacklist? Okay. So now I want to blacklist this pull request. The reason, I could say, not relevant anymore on 15. Okay. So it run pre-commit that just one hooks because it stores the metadata in a JSON file, and the JSON file is under the pre-commit checks. So if we check the git log, there is nothing. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, well, there is an issue with, I will prepare a patch release soon. Then. So it will create, no, it's not this one. It will create a JSON file in a .oca hidden folder in the repository that will be committed. And it will just store the pull request number with the reason why we choose to blacklist it. That's all.
The key point is that next time you run the command,
Yeah.
the folder again with the same hierarchy.
Yeah.
You might not want to blacklist it for other branches. Maybe we want this request in 14 but not in 15.
Exactly.
Maybe we do not want to blacklist it for all the...
No, that's why will be committed in the target branch, because we don't want this pull request for the 15 branch, but maybe we want it for the 13. So if you invert the number and you want to backport a feature, you can do it, just invert the number in the command line. And it will not read the file on your disk, but it will get the git blob in the git tree to see the content. If there is a file base import match JSON in the git tree, and read it from there. Always from the target branch. Is there another question? If in the train tomorrow. Thank you.